I've got another care package, y'all. Welcome to Street Scores. I'm back from vacation. It's your boy Rico bringing y'all a Redskins preseason week 1 guide centered around everything you need to know. I had fun in New York, but now it's time to get to this football. And you already know I got to be organized, so we're going to do this in 5 steps. First one, preseason basic info and details. Number 2, the free gambling, which is why I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all are here. Even if you're not a Redskins fan, you're trying to see what's going on with this free gambling. Sound crazy. Number 3, players to watch and why. So that's for the Redskins fans. Number 4, new rules and officiating emphasis. That's for everybody, not just Redskins fans. And number 5, this for everybody that's real. I'll be streaming. I'm going to provide details and what to bring and what to do when you pull up to the stream. Let's get it. Let's get it. Don't I be with Jay Money serving everybody? Let's get it. Preseason week 1. Our Washington Redskins head to Cleveland, First Energy Stadium, to play the Browns. To be exact, this game takes place Thursday, August 8th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's tomorrow for me, but by the time y'all get this video, it will technically be today. The Redskins are predicted to win, if that counts for anything. And for any of y'all who don't know, preseason wins don't foreshadow anything for the regular season. The little things that happen in the preseason game matter, and I'm gonna get into that later, but the actual wins don't count at all. In 2013, the Redskins won all 4 preseason games and then only won 3 games all regular season. We won more preseason games than regular season games. Just tragic. Tragic. Now, don't expect to see a lot of starters from either side. Like, don't go in expecting to see any Odell or Baker Mayfield. Starters get more and more reps as preseason goes on. But this week 1 game, don't expect to see many starters playing meaningful snaps, if at all any snaps. No team wants their premier players to get hurt in a useless preseason game that's actually built for the other guys. This is the time for players to make a case for themselves to make the 53-man roster. So there'll be a lot of players playing their hearts out trying to make the team tomorrow. So you're going to see a lot of passion and a lot of effort, but you might not see the most talent. You feel me? Now, the free gambling. Keyword free. History is being made, people. The Washington Redskins will make history by being the first NFL franchise to offer a gambling-oriented telecast. This is just over a year since the Supreme Court legalized sports gambling, period. And I know y'all wondering how this works. And it is truly free. Like, for real, like not for play, like real life. Throughout the 4 preseason games, yes, all 4, viewers will be able to guess in-game outcomes and win cash prizes on the regional cable network NBC Sports Washington Plus. They'll also be able to catch Street Scores live streaming on all 4 games too, just to add that in there, but we're going to get into that more later. Also, a non-gambling version, technically the normal version, will air on a separate channel, NBC Sports Washington, the one without the plus. Throughout each of the 4 preseason games, one fan will be chosen to win $1,000 each quarter. Predict the Game, which is the title of it, is free for everybody to play. Well, the playing is free, but viewing a stream on NBC Sports Washington Plus requires a cable subscription. But to actually play the game, there's a link to register and enter your answers. I included the link in the description of the video below, right down that, right around there, right down that way. And I haven't done this before yet, but it looks like playing through the link is free. So I guess, even though I don't have NBC Sports Washington Plus, I'll have a chance to answer the questions on one browser screen through the link that's in the description, and then watch the game in another browser screen, which is also a link I put in the description. There's a link for viewing the game. There's also another link to gamble during the game. Now, the details of the actual game is going to kind of pretty much look like this. First of all, I will be live streaming on YouTube right before the preseason game, during, of course, and a little after, just to chop it up with the folks. But I'm going to talk about that in further detail later on in this video. Right now, I want to talk about how the game is actually played. The Wizards experimented with this experience last year, so you can go look up some of their predicted games to actually see what it should look like tomorrow. But basically, we will be predicting various game player performance outcomes through a series of questions that will appear on the screen. You can answer on a desktop, laptop, or mobile device. And now I'm reading this next part straight off the website. So, quote, throughout each quarter, fans will earn a total of 3 points for making correct predictions and a total of 7 points for correctly predicting once a quarter bonus questions. 1 point is awarded for answering each question. The top eligible scorers at the end of each quarter will earn or share the $1,000 prize, with a new contest beginning each quarter. Eligible participants will also have a chance to win second chance prizes via a drawing, such as Redskins tickets and memorabilia. Unquote. Now we're back to what I wrote. The purpose of these games are to engage viewers and liven up the preseason games. They are giving away free money so that even casual fans will also want to tune in and get engaged. Most people aren't entertained watching fourth stringers play like me, but this gambling will keep fans' attention far more than it used to. It's a win-win. The Redskins and NBC Sports Washington gain more viewers and fan engagement. The fans have chances to win free money, and fans that don't want to have anything to do with any of this can just watch the preseason games on a separate channel that doesn't have anything to do with gambling. I'm extra excited about this preseason without the gambling because I just miss football and love football a lot. Football is back. Football is my favorite sport by far. Basketball is cool. It's a cool distant second. And I'm just happy to have any football to watch, let alone my team to watch. And then on top of that, I'm very excited to see how certain players will perform when they are finally allowed to go full throttle, which they can't do in practice, which leads me to the players to watch. First of all, the first unofficial depth chart, which doesn't mean much, was released a couple of days ago. And even Jay Gruden said it means nothing and he wouldn't have made it if he didn't have to. But anyway, it goes, quarterbacks wise, Colt McCoy is the starter, with Case Keenum second and Dwayne Haskins third. Running backs wise, Adrian Peterson is first, with Darius Geis behind him in second and Chris Thompson in third. Tight ends, Jordan Reed is starting, Vernon Davis is second, Jeremy Sprinkle is third. No surprises there. Wide receivers, Josh Doxson, Paul Richardson, and Trey Quinn are the starters, with Trey Quinn in the slot. And then Terry McLaurin, Cam Sims, Kelvin Harmon, and others are behind them. Offensive tackles, Morgan Moses and Jerron Christian Jr. are the starters. Donald Penn and others are behind them. Guards, Brandon Sheriff and Eric Flowers are the starters. Wes Martin is behind them. And Chase Roulier is the starting center, obviously. Now the defense. Defensive ends, Jonathan Allen and Matt Ioannidis are the starters, with Caleb Brantley behind them, of course. Deron Payne is the starting nose tackle, with Tim Settle behind him, of course. Edge rushers Ryan Kerrigan and Ryan Anderson are starting. Montez Sweat is behind them. Inside linebackers Sean Dion Hamilton and John Bostic are starters. Cornerbacks Quentin Dunbar, Josh Norman, and Fabian Moreau are starters, with Jimmy Moreland and Dominic Rogers-Cromartie behind them. And in free safety, Monte Nicholson is starting, with Troy Apke behind him, and strong safety Landon Collins is starting. According to the depth chart, because some of these players may not even play, just to keep them healthy. And again, I really want to stress that this is an unofficial depth chart. It is extremely unofficial. I want to emphasize unofficial. Matter of fact, say it with me. Unofficial. The quarterback battle has Colt McCoy in the lead right now, but he definitely does not have it on lock. Mainly for the reason that we brought in Alex Smith last year and Case Keenum and Dwayne Haskins this year. He has a turnover problem and is injury prone. He won't play tomorrow because he hurt his leg again. It's said not to be serious, but just a precaution. But with who he is, any little injury, especially to his leg, is a serious concern. And Dwayne Haskins' highs are higher than any other quarterback's highs. His only problem is consistency. But he has strung together some nice drives and even some good days in training camp, but he still isn't quite there yet. But he may be able to progress enough to earn the starting spot within these next few weeks throughout these practices and preseason games. You never know. Running back wise, Darius Geis, especially with how healthy and great he has looked in the running game and passing game, will more than likely start week 1 and get the most snaps. He is our only true third down back. AD is best on first and second downs, obviously. CT is great for third downs, obviously. Darius Geis is great on any given down, any given play. They've actually lined him up as an outside receiver sometimes in training camp, and he's made plays there. He about to put on the show this season. I'm letting y'all know that now. I hope non-Redskins fans are paying attention. Also, Cam Sims and Terry McLaurin, especially Scary Terry, have looked great in camp so far. Even Jay Gruden and Landon Collins have given Scary Terry high praise. Head coach Jay Gruden said in a recent interview that based off of camp, Scary Terry is a starting receiver in his book. And then all-pro strong safety Landon Collins said that Jordan Reed and Scary Terry are the hardest pass catchers to cover out of this entire team. That's very high praise from those two. The head coach and an all-pro opponent on the same team who has to cover him every day. I say all of this to prove the point that Scary Terry will likely start by week 1. This depth chart that I just told y'all about is very unofficial. Again, just to repeat it. Offensive line wise, Donald Penn is likely to start over Jerron Christian if Trent Williams doesn't play week 1, even though Donald Penn is lower than Jerron Christian on the depth chart as of today. Wes Martin may beat out Eric Flowers for the starting left guard spot, even though Eric Flowers is technically the starter today. Also, Montez Sweat will easily more than likely start on the other side from Ryan Kerrigan rather than Ryan Anderson, who's supposed to start tomorrow. Also in the DB room, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and my boy Jimmy Moreland are very likely to start or at least get some meaningful snaps somewhere in that third level come week 1. They are too talented to not be out there at all, and there may be a way for one of them to start. Jimmy Moreland might win that slot position. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie has a chance to even get the free safety position, even though Monte Nicholson has looked pretty good in camp. Now for the players to watch for tomorrow. I have my eyes on everybody. I mean everybody. But I'm going to pay special attention to certain players like linebacker Cole Holcomb, who's on the screen, cornerbacks Jimmy Effin Moreland and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, wide receivers Scary Terry, Cam Sims, and Kelvin Harmon, tight end Donald Parham, offensive lineman Wes Martin and Jaron Christian, defensive lineman Tim Settle, and edge rushers Monte Sweat, Casanova McKenzie, and Jordan Brailford. And of course, we all can't wait to see Dwayne Haskins out there. I was most excited about Scary Terry and Jimmy Moreland in camp, but preseason-wise, against actual real opponents that can hit, Dwayne Haskins is easily the person I'm most excited to watch. Now let's go down the list and explain why I'm excited to see each of these players. Linebacker Cole Holcomb has received high praise from the Redskins coaches, most importantly his linebackers coach and Rob Ryan. If he reaches his potential, he can easily be better than the current starting Mike linebacker in John Bostic, who we recently picked up from the Steelers, is the reason we released Mason Foster. He was a cheaper, almost the same thing version of Mason Foster, and Cole Holcomb has the potential to be way better than that, if he can reach it. He's still very young and raw, but he has apparently looked great in camp as of late, so we'll see. Jimmy Moreland has been making plays in training camp with some hiccups along the way, as expected. He is very talented and can become our Pro Bowl slot corner and move Fabian Moreau to the outside where he truly belongs. And Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is very interesting because he is very talented, but his age catching up to him. He is very fast and can play free safety, outside corner, and slot corner. He can play everywhere, and I want to see him prove everybody wrong and show them that he still has a lot left in the tank. And then the wide receivers, especially Scary Terry and Cam Sims, have a great chance to make an instant impact. No wide receiver is a guaranteed lock at being the number one wide receiver at all right now. We really don't have one. Tight end Donald Parham has the potential to be the only tight end on roster who can block and be a deadly pass catching option at the same time. We don't have that. Jeremy Sprinkle is a blocker. Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed aren't blockers but are really good in the passing game. He's the only one with the potential to do both. But at the same time, he can also just not pan out at all. Guard Wes Martin is interesting because he can very possibly become the starting left guard by week 1 and complete this great offensive line. Offensive tackle Jaron Christian is hopefully our replacement for Ty Nsekhe, a reliable swing tackle who can sub in at the left or right if somebody gets hurt, which is very underrated. That is a great gem to have, especially with how often our offensive line gets injured the past couple of years. Then you got defensive lineman Tim Settle, who could grow into a Pro Bowl defensive lineman easily, but he's deep in the rotation on this team. Edge rushers Montez Sweat, Casanova McKenzie, and Jordan Brailford all have the chance to bring that Junior Gillette type of pass rush and bend that we've been missing for so long. And then Montez Sweat brings all of that along with some great edge setting and run defense ability. And then there's Dwayne Haskins, the future. He is definitely the future of this franchise. But the only question is whether or not he will start sooner or later. I hope sooner, obviously, but if he's not ready, don't throw him out there. We get to see how ready he is in this preseason, starting tomorrow against real competition, real defenders who are actually trying to get to him and actually hit him. Now for the new NFL rules and officiating emphasis. I put the link to these rule changes in the description of the video below. How will NFL games be officiated this season? We get a good preview of that in the preseason. That's why I'm talking about it in this video. And we're starting with the biggest and most controversial rule change, which is the pass interference replay review after that Saints-Rams game. That was crazy. Reading this right off the website, beginning in 2019, both offensive and defensive pass interference calls are reviewable. Plays can be reviewed whether the penalty was called on the field or not. This rule change is subject to a 1-year trial period. A pass interference will be changed in replay only when there is clear and obvious visual evidence that the on-field ruling was incorrect. To change the ruling on the field, there must be clear and obvious evidence that contact significantly hindered or did not significantly hinder an opponent. Now, the blindside block. This is a super initiative to keep players healthy. Owners voted to expand protection of defenseless players by eliminating the blindside block. It is now prohibited for a blocker to initiate forcible contact with his head, shoulder, or forearm when his path is toward or parallel to his own inline. The penalty for an illegal blindside block is a loss of 15 yards and an automatic first down. Kickoff. You see I snuck my Georgia Bulldogs in there. You already know, man. We getting them recruits. Back to the Redskins in the NFL, though. Owners voted to make permanent the kickoff rule changes that were implemented in the 2018 season. The restrictions resulted in a 35% decrease in concussions on kickoff plays when compared to the 2017 season. Here are the NFL kickoff rules. The kickoff team must have 5 players on each side of the ball and cannot line up more than 1 yard from the restraining line. For example, the kicking team will line up at the 34-yard line for a kickoff from the 35-yard line. At least 2 players must be lined up outside the yard line number and 2 players between the inbound lines, the hash marks, and the yard line number. At least 8 players of the receiving team must be lined up in the 15-yard setup zone prior to the kickoff. Only 3 receiving team members can remain outside the setup zone. No wedge blocks are permitted. A wedge block is defined as 2 or more players intentionally aligning shoulder to shoulder within 2 yards of each other and who move forward together in an attempt to block for the runner. Double team blocks can only be performed by members of the receiving team who were originally lined up in the setup zone at the time of the kick. Until the ball is touched or hits the ground, no player on either the receiving or kicking team may block within the 15-yard area from the kicking team's restraining line. On an onside kick, the kicking team may not block in the first 10 yards. The ball is dead if it is not touched by the receiving team and touches the ground in the end zone. Touchback. You see how I sprinted through them right there? Booth reviews. In addition to pass interference, owners voted to expand the number of plays subject to booth reviews to include if a penalty flag is thrown that would negate a touchdown, the play will be reviewable first to determine if there was a score before the defense elects to enforce the foul. Also, all 2-point conversion reviews will now be initiated by the replay official. The plays are no longer challengeable by a coach. This is true regardless of the call on the field. Another one for health. Use of helmet. The officiating department will continue to emphasize the use of helmet rule adopted in 2018 that caused all kinds of controversy from preseason all the way to the Super Bowl. The officiating standards for the use of helmet rule are lowering the head, not to include bracing for contact, initiating contact with the helmet to any part of the opponent. Contact does not have to be an opponent's head or neck area. Lowering the head and initiating contact to an opponent's torso, hips, and lower body is also a foul. Making contact on an opponent, both offense and defense. Players can be ejected for use of helmet fouls, and all ejections will be reviewed by the senior officials in Art McNally Game Day Central in New York. The standards for ejection are if the player lowers his helmet to establish a linear body posture prior to initiating and making contact with the helmet, the player delivering the blow had an obstructed path to his opponent, and the contact was clearly avoidable. The committee is in support of issuing warning letters for any use of helmet fouls in the interior line where there is little space between players. And that's basically just saying that they will actually be trying to enforce the helmet-to-helmet rule even in the trenches with the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman. They're not going to call it if it looks like it was unavoidable, but if somebody deliberately just throws their head at somebody, even in the trenches, you don't have to be a running back, you don't have to be a DB or a linebacker, it still will matter. It will get penalized. Now, offensive holding, or by this picture, wrestling. Offensive holding will be more strictly enforced this season, particularly on the backside of the run play or line of scrimmage. Referees will closely monitor play at the line of scrimmage to ensure that offensive players do not materially restrict opponents or alter the defender's path or angle of pursuit. Material restrictions include, but are not limited to, grabbing or tackling an opponent, hooking, jerking, twisting, or turning them, pulling them to the ground. And now I'm done reading what they got. There are some more smaller rules that they have either changed or have been permanently accepted after their test run in the 2018 season. Again, I put the link in the description of the video so you can go look at all of this information and more on the NFL rule changes and officiating details, because again, I did not read all of them. I just gave y'all the most important ones. You want more of them? Go to the link in the description. And now my fully detailed announcement. I will be live streaming tomorrow for the Redskins preseason game and free gambling. If you want to join in, chop it up, ask questions, see and hear my instant analysis of what's going on during the preseason game, just pull up to the live stream. I will start streaming at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is 30 minutes before the game starts. I will stream throughout the game, of course, also. And I'll stick around a little bit after the game to talk to everybody in the stream just to show some love. Plus, streaming is fun. It's going to be hard for me to stop the stream anyway. I will have me at the bottom left, of course, just like this video. Brody at the top left. And then the main screen will be focused on gambling questions and whatever I may be looking at or focusing on. I wish I could stream the game. I really do. I wish I could do that for y'all. I wish I could have the game up there with me, but I'm not trying to get banned by YouTube. I can't even play the sound of the game without getting banned. But while I have y'all attention right now, when y'all pull up to the stream, make sure y'all like, subscribe, tell everybody you know about the stream, and then find another person to tell just to show some love, and then donate whatever money you feel like giving to the kids. See y'all there tomorrow, Thursday, August 7th at 7 p.m. And again, I also will be live streaming for all preseason games. And I'm still trying to see if I'm going to be live streaming for regular season games too. But I will be live streaming for these preseason games. So pull up. But that's it for this off-season episode of Redskins Report. Thanks for the view. I'm going to keep bringing y'all updates on the Redskins year-round. I'm going to bring y'all some Redskins reports, debate topics, interesting views, rankings, and grades on the team, random details and guides like this, and of course some live streams, which I'm bringing tomorrow. Make sure y'all get in them comments and let me know, was this guide helpful? Will you be gambling with me? Are you pulling up to the live stream? How excited are you for football to finally be back? Also, y'all already know how this go. Make sure y'all Dolomite fake punch the like button, favorite, subscribe. I'll subscribe back. Most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.